Welcome to Complete Edition, the podcast between a PlayStation Trophy Hunter and an Xbox Achievement Hunter. This is episode 6. I'm your host, Compulsive Nerd, or Cole, and I am joined by my fantasy critic, competing third place, AJ. How are you, AJ?
I'm in first place on Fantasy Critic.
Really? I checked this morning and I thought
Yeah.
it looked like you were in third.
Nope, I have
Taking the lead?
55 points. 12 minutes put me ahead.
That's amazing. I knew you were going to be in the running. I wrote down some names who I thought I was going to be competing with, and I'm straight middle right now, and I'm like...
We need to tell the audience that you counterpicked Halo Infinite for some reason, which is just gonna totally destroy you.
Look at the track record with that game, though. What is it, 365?
There's 343. The only way you get points for that game is if it gets under a 70 on Metacritic and OpenCritic. There's no way that happens. There's actually no way it gets under a 70. Halo 4 on OpenCritic has... Okay, so the Master Chief Collection has an 86.
How?
Halo 4
It's
has an
bugged as
87. And then Halo 5 has an 84 as well, with 85% of critics recommending it. So it would have to be the worst Halo game ever, and the worst Halo game 343 have ever made, by a significant margin, by over 15 points. That it's not going to happen, because
It's not.
I mean, especially since they had the technical preview, and the people who played that were like, "This is awesome, this is amazing." So you're done for, basically. It's over. If the technical test came out and people were like, "This game sucks," then you could be pretty smug right now.
No, it's not looking good for me.
People have been enjoying it quite a lot. It's not a good sign. But I mean, maybe this will be interesting to look back on, right? Because we'll have to update everyone on how that goes. One of us will look foolish.
Me, I'm gonna look foolish. I looked foolish when I picked it, dude. I was like, why did I do that? I was actually at work when it happened, and I needed something, and I'm like, because they were gonna skip me, and I'm like, shit. So I just picked as quick as I could.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But how was your week? What was up, man?
My week's been pretty good. I've basically, I mean, it sort of goes into what I've been chasing, but what I've really enjoyed about playing Hades is that when you get a late port or a remaster of a game, you get to when you start playing it, you get to discover a bunch of really great YouTube videos and content and streams of the game. So I've basically been getting really into Hades this past week, and discovered a bunch of tips and tricks and personalities that play it, and it's been great. It's been really good to sort of delve deep into that game.
Yeah, I played it not to completion, but I got pretty close. I maxed out several gods in there with the nectar, and at some point I was just like, I don't want to play anymore. I escaped all 10 times, and
yeah,
I played the hell out of the game, but like I said, I didn't want to play anymore, and that leaves me in a funny place, because it's I don't want to play anymore, but then I could platinum hunt it on
yeah, and you'd have
PlayStation.
to be starting all over again as well,
Yeah.
because there's no save transfer as far as I know between Switch and PC, right? And PS4 and PS5
And it's not that it's a bad game or anything like that. It's gotten so much praise, and it is a beloved game, but it's just one of those things where I loved my time with it, and I went through as far as I went, and then I was like, I'm good. And again, that puts me in a weird situation, because I was like, I would have probably tried to platinum this if it was on PlayStation, but I just played it because it was in the Game of the Year conversation, I believe, last year, and I was like, I gotta play it. That's what I do at the end of the year. I just catch up on everything that has been heavily praised, and that was the game. That was the game last year.
Right. Yeah. It was definitely the indie pick for a lot of outlets.
It really was.
But yeah, that's basically been my week, to be honest. How's yours?
My week was packed full, busy. I gamed a little less because last night I went to a baseball game, and I was front row. It was so much fun. It's kind of scary. I mean, just because of the pandemic world that we live in, it's so weird. I'm vaccinated, but it's so weird to be out there with all those people. And luckily, the game wasn't packed. There was only 9,000 people there, which that sounds like a lot, but I mean, when we average 30,000 people, it's only 1/3 of that. So I felt more comfortable. But yeah, I mean, I did that and trying to set up and everything. And I like last week after we finished the podcast, I was in like an anime mood. And so I just started watching anime. So I wasted a couple days watching anime. And then it left me with like not very much to talk about this week, which I'm going to just go ahead and transition right into what we were playing this week because, I didn't play too much, but I also was just busy doing so many other things. Last night I started Assassin's Creed Valhalla DLC. This morning I finished all the collectibles. I got all the trophies up to the last one. I need one more, and that's completed. And I think I'm on the final mission. So like right before we started the podcast, I was almost gonna push it, but I know it's late where you are, because we record midday for me and then late at night for you. And I was like, I can't push it anymore. But man, I'm pretty sure I'm about to do the final battle or whatever the hell's gonna happen. So as soon as this podcast ends, I'm gonna ding that trophy, probably delete it, download 12 minutes, and play 12 minutes. But I actually spent a little bit of my time this week playing Persona 4 Golden, and I was grinding because you need to be like level 91 to make the top persona, like the best persona in the game, and you also have to do it to complete the compendium. But I was like way lower leveled because I read a guide and it said like you shouldn't be over leveled or you'll miss out on these lines, which you need these navigation lines from one of the characters. You need 250 unique ones for a trophy, and I'm like, that trophy I might never ever get because I can't count. It doesn't have like a tracker or anything, so I have no idea which lines I have and which ones have been repeated, all that stuff. So I was grinding because I was way under leveled for the last dungeon, and I got probably up to level 67, and I maxed out a confidant, and I'm like, I'm gonna get the confidant trophy this weekend, or not this weekend, but this week, and then I'm gonna be able to complete the game for the first time, and that will pop at least 2 trophies, a silver and a gold. So I'm like right there with Persona 4 Golden, and that's probably the game I played the most this week. It was Persona 4 Golden, just grinding, dude, just grinding. This week I'm really looking forward to 12 minutes and Ghost of Tsushima. Those two things, like Ghost of Tsushima will launch tonight, probably around 11 o'clock, and I'll be ready. I'll have it downloaded. I'll have everything ready to go, and then I'm gonna probably play the hell out of that because I fucking love Ghost of Tsushima. It's got an awesome combat system. The sword feels like a lethal weapon, When you slice someone across the chest and it just annihilates them, feels good. Feels good. And it goes both ways too, because like I play on lethal mode. If I get hit with a sword, it'll kill me. It's a very sharp weapon, and it can do some serious damage. So it's really, really fun to play that game. And that's what I'll be playing this week. What about you, man? What were you chasing this week?
Yeah, 12 minutes. I need to check it out as well. I've got it installed on my Xbox and my PC. I've heard that because it's like a point and click game in terms of how you like interact with the world. It's apparently, like, I heard from a few people that it controls quite badly with a controller, like it's easier with a mouse and keyboard, which makes sense for that type of game. So I've got it downloaded on both. I might check it out on my Xbox first, and then like if it plays fine, stick with that, or just go to the PC version. But that game, annoyingly, it didn't come out at midnight my time. They did like a global launch for it, which was, the game came out today, but it came out at like 6 p.m. here today for me. So I was hoping to get through a decent amount of it yesterday, or last night, I suppose, / this morning, but was unable to. So I've pretty much just been playing Hades for this week. I've put around 40 hours into it already, so I've played a ton of it. I'm at 38 out of 49 achievements, so I'll probably have the completion in the next 10 or 20 hours. And I've just been playing it daily and getting better at it and really enjoying my time with it. It's for anyone who doesn't know, it's an isometric roguelite where you focus on melee combat for the most part. And there's just great attention to detail in the game with how the items all interact with each other and how the dialogue from the characters like adapts to what items what you've accomplished and what boons and weapons and items that you have. And there's so many like layers. You'll know what I mean because you've played it, and it's hard to describe because not many games do it to this level, where there's so many layers to the NPC interactions and the conversations you have. like
So
when you
much
die
right.
and go back to when you go back after you've died, and also when you get new boons and go to different areas. So that's been great to experience. It's awkward because I feel like Hades it feels like a roguelike for people who aren't normally fans of roguelikes in some ways, because through the game you sort of mostly play it the same way or the same few ways every time, and there's a lot of variation, but you can build out your run in a way that you can sort of design, because there's keepsakes where you can choose which gods you will next meet, and you can also re-roll what options they give you, and you're always looking to like, I need to get like a dash, I need to get an attack boon, I need to get a cast or whatever. So you always know the gaps that you're filling in and what you're moving towards, and when you've played enough of the game you like know the full list of opportunities that there are. So you can really aim towards something and go to build whatever you want, which isn't really typical of roguelikes.
What do you lean toward first? Like whenever when you're going on a run, what do you lean towards first? Do you go for a dash move or
So it depends on the weapon that I'm using as well, because there's so many different weapons and then there's different variations of those weapons.
right?
I think that the dash, Athena's dash that gives deflect on it, is basically overpowered in terms of it's just amazing. You pretty much always want that or Poseidon's dash, in my experience, which knocks enemies away because that can do quite a lot of damage. I quite like the cast that is that Blade Rift. That's
Yes.
pretty good because it's something where you can activate it and then you can melee hit enemies while the Blade Rift is actively damaging an enemy. So you can just get like massive damage numbers by doing both at the same time.
Athena's cast was my favorite. Just the way it pings around and then I just go pick it up and I'm just like dashing around and throwing it. It was definitely my favorite.
Yeah, there's so much where you can like, the game does a really good job as well. And again, it's almost like a roguelike for people that don't really like roguelikes in a way, because everything is so finely balanced in that game where you can't get like ludicrously overpowered. You can get pretty close, but you can't get super overpowered without taking risk. And at the same time, you can never get like ridiculously underpowered either. Everything is so like finely tuned where like the amount of damage you can do is controlled by the game pretty well, that there's never going to be a time where you like one shot the final boss or whatever, whereas in like the Binding of Isaac and Enter the Gungeon you can get to a pretty ridiculous power level where that can happen, but then you can also get a run where you get like totally useless joke items, like a pea shooter in Gungeon for example, that literally shoots peas and is like a gun as a joke that's terrible on purpose. There's nothing like that in Hades. Everything has a purpose and everything is a baseline level of good, which makes it less replayable in some ways, but the combat loop is so satisfying and so fun that it doesn't really matter. So it's a really interesting game to think about in that sense. And then there's also, I don't know if I'd call it a criticism. It feels like in that game you are absolutely meant to fail the first few runs, basically no matter what, unless you're like absurdly good at the game, because you as you progress you get like meta currency like gems and darkness, and those things allow you to unlock permanent upgrades, and those permanent upgrades are just they just make you objectively stronger, and a lot of the time they're pretty overpowered. Death Defiance gives you extra lives essentially, and you can start with 50 extra HP as well, which is literally doubling your health. And then you can start with 100 gold as well, and there's tons of different things you can start with, and you can upgrade your weapons, and you can, and it makes it fun, but also it makes it feel like almost like the game is playing you. Yeah, the game is like directing you in the sense of, I mean, and games have done this in the past, right? Because Resident Evil 4 has this AI director, and Left 4 Dead does as well, where in Resident Evil 4, the game knows if you've not got much ammo, and then when you get ammo pickups, it will drop ammo more often, and also when you get ammo, you will get more bullets. So the game like constantly, and all the Resident Evil games do this since 4, I believe, where it's like you always feel like you're on edge of like on the edge of running out of ammo, but you never do or almost never do, because it will give you like 30 pistol bullets instead of 15 if you've only got like 5 left or something in some areas, if it knows that there's like a big fight coming up. or something. So the game, like, it's sort of, I don't know, faking it in a way, but it's still really satisfying. And Left 4 Dead does something similar with its like special infected that it uses, and it monitors the HP of the party and stuff like that. So it's not really a new thing in games, but in terms of this, it's like there's always like these like stabilizers that are on you essentially, in terms of that you are meant to fail at first, and then eventually you will get so overpowered that you will just win a run eventually. And that point will be different for everyone because it will depend on like the RNG of the run and how good you are at the game by default. I think it was my fifth or sixth run where I beat the game for the first time. Whereas I've heard for some people it takes them 10, 20 runs. And on the opposite end, some people beat the game on like their second run. I think on my fourth run, I got to the final boss and it kind of sequence broke the dialogue for the NPCs. Like, the NPCs had, and this is a criticism, definitely, the NPCs almost had like a backlog of dialogue in the sense that I got to the final boss, and then when I died and went back to the hub, the NPCs would be like, they'd like talk about getting to the final boss and then dying. And then on my next run, I got to Elysium, or I got to the final boss again, I don't remember. But I got to Elysium, and then afterwards, all the NPCs talked about Elysium as though I'd only been there for the first time. Because the way Hades works is that when you talk to NPCs, they can only give you one set of dialogue at a time. They give you like one set of dialogue, and then you do a run, and then you come back, and then they give you another set of dialogue, and it's based on what you've done in the previous runs. So because they can only give you like one set of dialogue, they should have talked to me about Elysium when I got to the final boss for the first time. But the final boss dialogue took priority, so I had to play the game again, die, and then they talked to me about Elysium, even though it's like I've been there twice or like three times now. It's not my first time. So there's stuff like that that doesn't quite work. It's not a perfect game in that sense, and that can make it really annoying when you're going for some of the achievements, because some of the achievements require you to do these prophecies, which are essentially like quests and like sub stories for the different characters a lot of the time. And for this, some of the dialogue you get is random. Most of it is based on things that you've done or things that you're wielding. Like Artemis might talk about the bow that you've got because, you know, she's into bows. So she might be like, oh, wow, that's the great bow of, you know, dick fuck or whatever. Like, so that happens all the time. But you might want to talk to that character about something else and you've got no control over it. And you might have to do 10 runs to even get the dialogue initiated to start a quest or progress a quest. And that's quite annoying, I think. It sort of artificially pads out the runtime in a way. Because that's the other thing, right? That like if it let you do all the dialogue at once, if you got to the final boss or you beat the game within like 5 runs, well then suddenly you'd get like all the dialogue or whatever. Like you'd burn through it so much quicker. So it kind of makes the game longer in a way that feels a little janky and forced. So there's one achievement to do. Ares has a quest line for killing 10,000 enemies. I've already killed 13,000 enemies, and I still haven't even started the quest. Because every time I talk to Ares, he talks to me about something else for some reason. He just won't talk to me about the thing that I need him to talk to me about. So yeah, I'm sure I've looked into how the system works, and there's definitely ways to manipulate it. I'm sure people know more than me on it, but it's something where I'm just going to keep bashing my head against it until it eventually gives me what I want. That seems to be mostly the consensus. I'm sure if you're like a pro speedrunner going for like 100%, there's a bunch of strats you can use to like optimize the game so it gives you the priority queue of the dialogue, of the exact dialogue you want at the exact right time. But I'm just having fun with it for the most part and hoping to get to the completion as I go and as I go up the heat levels, and I've done my 10 wins and sort of got the ending of the game, the main ending of the game. So I'm really enjoying it. Those minor criticisms, they're more nitpicks than anything, but I would say that it's worthy of criticism still. We talked about the game being nominated for a lot of Game of the Year awards. I think generally with games, it feels like a lot of the time stuff that's like Game of the Year tier, it seems people seem scared to criticize anything with it. Like people seem to This is a problem with like Metacritic scores and review scores generally, where it's like so many games get like 10 out of 10s like all the time that it's like implied that it's completely perfect and there's nothing. And then if if you say anything bad about it, it's like, oh, people get really offended. But I really like the game. I'm really enjoying it. I love it. I think it's such a perfect game, I feel, to introduce people to the genre of roguelikes and roguelites because it's so gentle and it's so well managed. I kind of wish that the runs were a bit more varied and they were like a bit more chaotic in terms of like they really let you get like screwed over or let you like do really well and you can manipulate that it feels like that's missing from the game to me to some extent, but I think that's just because I'm used to playing more, I guess, hardcore roguelikes and roguelites. Because I know Rogue Legacy was similar to this, where you would be able to just upgrade yourself so much that over time the game just gets so much easier. Like every hit you do does more damage, you have way more health, and it's just a different style. It's a design decision that they've made, and I still really appreciate it for what it is. And it's such a hard balance to strike because you don't want to ever be getting just screwed over by RNG all the time and randomness. So there's some. I guess the last thing I have to say about it is that there's an issue with achievements and quick resume in the game. So achievements won't unlock
Glitch.
with quick resume, and then also the PS5 has had a crashing issue with the game. But I think that's been patched either yesterday or today. So there's some technical issues, but for the most part, it's really solid. I've heard it's got like DualSense implementation on PS5 as well, which is awesome. Yeah, so and it's on Game Pass on Xbox, so it's a win-win wherever you play it. Essentially, it's great.
Absolutely. Are you playing? I'm pretty sure I know the answer. Are you playing with God mode on?
No, I'm not.
I didn't think you were. You're such a roguelite hardcore fan that I was like, there's no way he's playing with that. For me, is if I was to start it and try to platinum it, I would start with God mode on immediately because I've already played it and I just would want to get through it. But
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still so I. It kind of annoys me because in Hades you get resources for beating every boss in the game. You get like Titan blood, diamonds, ambrosia, and when you beat the game once on one heat level with a specific weapon, you then have to raise the heat by one to get those rewards again. Otherwise, you just get darkness for beating the bosses. Something that annoys me is that I wish you could say you complete a run on 0 heat. I wish you could then go to 10 heat or like 5 heat, do the game again, beat the game, and then get like 5 times the rewards. Like all the rewards for heat 1, heat 2, heat 3, heat 4, and heat 5, all at the same time. So like 5 diamonds, 5 Titan blood. Because if you've beaten it on heat. Instead, you have to, after you've beat it on heat 0, you have to beat it on heat 1, and then you
yes,
get the rewards. Then you have to do it on heat 2, then you get the rewards. Then you have to do it on heat 3, then you get the. Like, I don't get why you can't skip ahead, because ultimately you have to be. Like, it's the same thing, right? You have to beat the game on heat 5 to get those rewards ultimately. It's kind of annoying how you have to ramp up so slowly. And if you do play the game, so if you do decide to play on Heat 5, say right after Heat 0, you'll get the rewards, but you'll only get the rewards for Heat 1. And then, so you get nothing extra, basically, for doing that. Which I think is really stupid. Again, it's like artificially lengthening the amount of time you have to play to get the rewards. And the reason I say that is because you mentioned God mode. I win most of my runs of this game. I won 12 runs in a row. After like my first victory, I won like 12 in a row.
that's
And then
amazing.
I lost 2, and then I kept winning again. And I think I won every run I played yesterday. So and the reason for that is because I have to go up the heat levels one by one. Like I'm still on like heat 5, heat 6. But if I could have just skipped all the way ahead to like 5 or 6, then I'd probably be enjoying the game more and having like a harder time with it and it really challenging me. But right now I'm sort of like the game's pretty easy. I have almost all of the mirror upgrades and I'm still on pretty low heat because there's no benefit to going to higher heat right now. So yeah, I'm at the point where I'm at like heat 5, heat 6 though, so I think it will be getting more difficult again. But I like hit a wall at the start of the game and lost a lot, and then I broke through that wall, and now it's just I just keep winning at the game. But it's getting harder, so I think it should be more engaging on that level.
Well, that's intriguing and that's exciting for your next for the week to try to get that.
Yeah.
All right. I guess let's go to the topic on the table, which is trophy and achievement pet peeves. This is kind of stuff that annoys us with trophy and achievement hunting. I think that every trophy and achievement hunter ends up with some kind of trophy or achievement in a game where when it pops up and you see it on the list, you're like, oh no, I'm dreading this. Like, I already don't want to do that. And I'll go ahead and I'll start with my first, which is anything RNG based, because it's so annoying and it's not based on your skill. It's based on how long you can hold out before you quit on doing this. Because I hate RNG. And I was looking through lists trying to find RNG trophies, and AJ, you might be able to think of some, but the only one I could think of was like Knack and opening the chests and hoping to get a diamond. But it's like any game that just requires you to get a specific item or something like that, and you can't just go and pick it up off the ground. You actually have to get lucky and get it. Is just absolute trash. And this episode, I love to celebrate trophies and achievements. I do, but we do run into these things where you see it on the list and you're like, I'm gonna quit if this doesn't give it to me, because it's not my fault, it's not the player's fault, it's just a bad choice by the people with the trophy list. Like, don't do that. It's just not fun for anyone.
Yeah.
And that is like a big one for me. That's number 3, and we're gonna go ahead and do 3 each, and I'm sure there will be overlap because sometimes it's just the way it is, like in trying to play this way.
Well, I think Descenders has a really annoying RNG achievement. I know Maka has it. I think it's like ridiculous odds as well. It's like 1 in like 3,000 or something. And when he got it, he was really, really happy. I think it's 0 gamer score as well, so that's like double annoying, right? Like an achievement for 0 gamer score, because it means that you don't get the completion if you don't get it, but then when you do get it, it's not even worth anything.
Oh,
So that's not on my list. Neither of those factors are on my list, but they're definitely really annoying.
they're so annoying. Oh man.
Yeah, and we talked about Hades with the dialogue, part of that being RNG.
Yeah.
At least in that game, like once you've got through the dialogue, it doesn't come back. So for the most part, so like you will eventually break through. For me, so I'm not sure which to go with. I guess these are joint third for me. So I really don't like when games have an absurd number of achievements added in like free DLC or at launch.
Wow.
So Humankind came out recently. It has 98 achievements with 1,000 gamer score, and Halo Master Chief Collection and Gears 5. Each title update they do for those games, they add new achievements, and you just have to play that game, like purely that game, to get all the achievements. And I think that they're good in a sense because I like games having post-launch support. So I'm not sure, but a lot of the time it just feels really tacked on, which is like, this is where I'm like, this is joint third and joint fourth, because connected to that, I really hate tacked on multiplayer achievements. So Doom Eternal has them, Singularity has them, Batman Arkham Origins has them, and they're terrible. They're garbage, and I don't have them, and I won't have them. I think Doom Eternal is the easiest out of those 3 I mentioned to get, but I won't get them. I almost won't get them out of principle, essentially, unless I actually genuinely enjoy the mode. But most of the time, the mode is a chore to play, and the best option is to boost the achievements.
Yes.
But even that's annoying. And then also, it's like, if you boost the achievements, you've not really earned them. And then also, but there's nothing wrong with boosting it because the mode sucks and they shouldn't be in the game anyway. But then also, it's like everyone that, like a lot of people that have the achievements did just boost them. So then that makes them like even more pointless. It's like, why are they in the, like, they're self-defeating in that sense. So yeah, I hate them. I hate tacked on achievements generally, I'll say. I hate them when they're multiplayer. I hate them when they're added in updates and really annoying. I guess it's because as well, like when you get achievements added that way, it's totally a mystery what's coming your way. Like, is it going to be like a really easy list that's really nice, or is it just going to hit you like a truck and be like complete all the games on Lasso in Halo, for example? That one was awful. So I don't know if you can empathize with either of those.
Oh, absolutely. I have I was saving it for when we're done, but I have a dishonorable mentions list because these are not honorable. And that would be one of them would be like the DLC add-ons. But the thing is like I know I'm in a Platinum Hunter Discord, and I know some people celebrate extra trophies on games because they're like, now I can play that game more. But it's like, oh, dude, it just feels so dirty whenever like I've started to buy games with the deluxe edition because I know that I get the season pass and they're gonna add stuff, and then I can go back and get it. Like, but
Yeah,
again, go ahead.
I wanted to. I guess I should clarify. Like, I feel like when you get a game, let's say Fallout 3, that game has some amazing DLC, or like GTA 4, right? That those games have really great DLC and they have achievements and trophies. And I think that's totally fine and that's totally great. I think it's when it's like an update to the game and it's like the update is like, oh, we added like base building or something, like something
Oh,
no one cares about or whatever, like
yes.
something really stupid that wasn't announced, and it isn't like a big expansion where it's like, oh,
Yes.
this is awesome, like GTA 4 added like parachuting and all these like, and added like all these motorcycle missions and a huge new storyline for completely new characters. Like that's great. I support that. It's just when it's like, oh, here's this piece of shit update. Like if Doom Eternal was like, oh, here's another update for battle mode, and it's another 20 achievements, and they're all multiplayer, and fuck you. That's the thing I have the problem with.
Yeah, and I totally get that. And Valhalla on a couple episodes ago, I talked about how Valhalla had a new challenge mode, and it's tied to a quest. And if you don't get all of the gold medals and all of the challenge mode, which is going to take me over 15 hours, I was like, why did they add this? Like, I'm okay with adding an additional quest and maybe making it where you get like one gold medal, and that's a fine little add-on trophy. But they made it to where it's like no one has this. It's super low. It's like an ultra rare trophy, and it's just stupid. Just like you're saying, it's bullshit add-on that was not planned with the DLC. This is not a big expansion. It was just like we're just gonna throw together some bullshit challenges that have no breathing room, and you have to perfect them. And I was like, nah, I'm out. I quit on it. I was like, no. About 5 hours in, I'm just like, fuck this. Fuck this.
Yeah, there's no shame in that for sure.
Um, and then I'll go to my number two. And this is one that actually I don't think bothers you very much, but it does me. And I'm very conflicted on this one, but it's my number two. It's no deaths, no saves. Those kind of trophies fuck me up. I'm like, I don't want to have to get to the end of a game, die, and then have to do it all over again. I was one of the first people in the world to platinum Moss, the VR game, and I would have been the first if it wasn't for a no death run. And it was 3 a.m. and I'm like trying to get through, and I just kept getting to the end, and I got one hit killed, and it was just over for me. I was like, I'm going to bed. I woke up the next day and I did it, and I was one of the first, not the first, but one of the. I'm pretty sure I'm in the top 10 somewhere, but I just don't like no death, no saves. So you can't like, even if it's a no death trophy, it's fine if I can like cheese the autosave, or I can like save a couple times, You get like 3 saves in a whole run where you have no deaths, so that if you die, you can go back.
Like Dead Space 2.
Yes, it makes the challenge feel a little more attainable, a little more realistic. And whenever I see that, I'm like, oh fuck no, because I'm pretty sure recently you were doing some kind of roguelite, I think, and there was like a no death run or a no character dying run, something like that. And I was like, oh dude, I would be furious.
Darkest Dungeon requires you have to beat the game in a you have to beat the game in a time limit, and you can't let more than 14 characters die. There's also some sections of that game where it is mandatory for some characters to die. So you can accidentally fuck yourself if you get to a point where a character has to die and you've got like none left, because then it's about to be game over and you're just done for.
Right.
So
I guess with the Little Nightmares 1 completion, you have to do it in under an hour, so a speed run, and you can't die, and there's no saves.
yeah,
That's like, that was when it hit me that I can't, I fucking hate these. Like, I fucking hate them.
I'm fine with them. I like them. I enjoy the challenge. It's just you definitely have to love the game enough, right? Ultimately, like
Yeah.
if you play the game and you get everything else and you're like, I fucking hate this game, like I need it to be over. There's no way you're gonna go for that. You have to be like all the levels are really memorable and I really enjoyed it. And you have to be like you say, like I'm, I guess, more fond of this stuff than you. But even for me, it's like I have to really like the game. Like it ultimately, that there's like a bar of either the game has to be not that hard, I guess, because there's sometimes where that type of achievement might be easy or easier than for other games. But yeah, you have to. It's such a commitment that you have to really like the game. I mean, it is annoying in the sense of, like you say, like what's probably the worst is that if you do it legit and then it comes out that there's a way to just cheese it and exploit it afterwards, that must be like a nightmare
Absolute
situation.
nightmare.
So that's a pretty big negative for it because if you spend like 20 hours doing it and then it's like, oh, you can just load up a save that's at the final boss after he's like one health and then you've done it. Like if something like that happens, I mean that would just send me over the edge, right? Like that's it. So yeah, I get what you mean there, but it wouldn't be on my list.
Yeah, because I like Wolfenstein too, but
Yeah,
I'm not gonna mind Laban. No,
yeah,
just no.
I might do someday, but not today.
I'll wait for an exploit. Like, let me glitch through the
I
map
don't
or
think it's
something.
coming.
No,
Yeah,
it's not.
I don't think it's coming for that game. I
It's
think it's
not.
over.
What's your
The
number two, man?
So I'm gonna swap my number two and my number one because there's no way the current number two that I have isn't the worst. It has to be the worst. So instead, I'm switching it around. I really hate, and this isn't a problem on PlayStation, so we probably won't have overlap on it. I hate achievements with gamer score that doesn't end in a 5 or a 0. So this is really annoying because actually you could make an argument it's the worst because I never want my gamer score to end to not end in a 5 or 0. And 99% of games always have gamer score that is ending in a 0 or ending in a 5 for every achievement. And the full list has to add up to 1,000 points for every game for 100% of games that get published from now. But what some games will do is they will make a really easy achievement that you get at the start of the game be worth like 2 gamer score and then make the hardest achievement in the game be like 98 gamer score. So you basically, as soon as you start the game, you've essentially like activated like a booby trap achievement that is just stuck on your gamer card and it ruins your gamer score total for everyone to see. Like makes it a really awkward number, makes it so you never be able to get to 100,000 and have it look really nice, or a million, or 500,000. You'll never have that because you'll always have this like 2 or this 3 at the end. So
Dude.
until you grind out that game and do everything in the game and then get the hardest achievement and then you're free. Or you can search out, there's actually a tool on True Achievements where you can search for uneven like gamer score games. Like you can search for another game and like buy that game and be like, I'll get the easy bullshit achievement on that game and then I'll never finish either game so that I've got it securely back to where I need it to be. So
Dude, holy
that
crap.
sucks. It's awful.
That's so amazing. Like I was over here smiling and laughing because like, I don't know very much about the Xbox ecosystem and I didn't even know that. I didn't know that at all. So that would have never even occurred to me as something that would be a pet peeve. But oh, damn, dude, I am definitely with you. If something is going to be like not perfectly on 5 or 0 and they just jip you with a 2, oh, that sucks. That
Yeah, it's
sucks.
bad because again, like almost every game doesn't do this. So like once you're caught by it, it's like the next like 500 games you play won't even have like a way to fix it at all. And it's permanently on your gamer card. So it's like it goes beyond the game itself. And this is really topical because when I was making this list, the Quake remaster got announced and the Quake remaster has this problem. It has a bunch of achievements that give you 86 gamer score instead of 85 or 90, and they're some of the hardest achievements in the game. So I don't know if I mean I can avoid them, which is good because you have to play on the hardest difficulty to get those. So I might just not do that. But yeah, it really annoys me.
Dude, I'm telling you, it's almost, I don't know who Who is at these companies making these lists and not paying attention to this kind of stuff? Like, get a completionist in there. What are you doing?
Well, they do it on purpose to troll you, for
Oh,
sure. They're
absolutely.
100% doing it on purpose. It doesn't happen because the people that don't care are the ones that always end in a 5 or a 0 because it's like, it's just the way things are done. Like, it's some developer, like, purposely, like, I'm gonna really piss people off. That does, in that way, I kind of admire it. Like, there's some respect there, right? Because they're at least aware of achievements and doing it to fuck with people. But
that is
yeah.
that's an ultimate troll right there. Oh man. All right. Well, I guess my number one is something you already mentioned, and it's something that I preach about all the fucking time. And I actually hold me to my word on this, but I think in the future I'm gonna go to some kind of event, E3, PAX, something. I'm gonna make a YouTube video about this, and I'm gonna go around to people with a microphone and be like, "Hey, do you play multiplayer? Yeah. Do you care about achievements and trophies? No. No. Why are there multiplayer trophies and achievements? This shit does not matter. The people who are doing the trophy and achievement hunting, they don't care about it. The people who are multiplayer gaming, they don't care about it. They don't. So it's like no one cares about multiplayer trophies and achievements. Why are they fucking around? It just like you said, whenever Doom added it, I was like, I'm not playing Doom on PlayStation because I won't have those fucking multiplayer trophies on my account. I'll go play it on Xbox where I don't really care about my completion percentage. But like over here on PlayStation, I stay the fuck away from multiplayer games, or I have an alternate account just to play multiplayer games. Like, actually, this is something that I wanted to tell you, and I didn't at the beginning of the week, but right after we finished last week's podcast, my friend challenged me to Mortal Kombat. And I was like, I'll kick your ass. And we just had fun. And I signed in on a different account to play it because I'm not going to get, like, I know that Mortal Kombat is going to have some multiplayer trophies. And I'm like, I'm not going to have one pop and then have to go through all of them. So I was like, I'm just going to play it somewhere else. And if they didn't have that, I would have played Mortal Kombat on my main account and played and got all the achievements because I think it's more fun whenever I don't have to depend on other people. And, you know, I have a ton of games on my list. AC Revelations, can't get the platinum because it's got multiplayer trophies and I either have to boost it or the servers are going to be shut down because it's a PS3 game and it's old. AC Black Flag, it's got an unbelievable multiplayer grind and I'm not going to do it. Just straight up not going to do it. Not even through boosting. I'm not going to waste 20 to 30 hours doing it. It's just stupid. The Crew, these are all Ubisoft games and I was looking for more and then I was like, oh, Far Cry. Oh, because Far Cry 5 has a fucking terrible... It's actually RNG and multiplayer, and so I ultra hate its trophy. But it basically you have to get 3 game modes or 5 game modes where you play on arcade, and it has to be the base maps. So not the maps that players created, but that the developers created. And every time you ping up a game, the gamers or the players of that lobby vote on which map to go to. And if they vote on the player map and not the randomly generated, by the way, these are randomly generated, the player maps and the dev maps, if I don't get them, then I'm shit out of luck. I'm going to have to play a game where I'm not making any progress on the trophy. So it's so infuriating to me. I just fucking hate them. I don't get why they exist. And again, I am going to prove it. I'm going to prove it. I'm going to go to, like I said, E3 or PAX or something, and I'm going to make a video. I'm going to have somebody carry around a camera, and I'm just going to interview people who play multiplayer games and be like, do you care? Because I bet 95 to 98% of them do not care.
Well, it's there's some games that have like really easy multiplayer achievements, and I think that's okay if it's just a couple, or if it's like the game is like purely a multiplayer game. Obviously, you know, you have to.
Look at Warzone. I think Warzone is setting the prime example that it can be done. It is a game without multiplayer, trophies, achievements, and it's fucking huge. It doesn't need it.
Yeah.
It doesn't. No one cares. No one cares that it doesn't have achievements. Actually, people like me will play it because it doesn't. So you're missing out on an audience that can pick it up and play because it doesn't have achievements.
Well, yeah, multiplayer achievements as well suck because of the like ticking time bomb effect of like you can just never, after a certain amount of time, they're just permanently locked off. Like you're just never able to get them. But
right.
I 100% agree with everything there. Basically,
Sorry about ranting there.
No, it's fine. So my number one is I think it's like basically indisputable that this is terrible. I'd love to hear a defense of it from anyone. It's achievements which require I've written stupid app, but app. Require an app or an external bullshit on a website, anything external to unlock the achievements. So the
Mirror's
example I've
Edge.
got here is Fable Anniversary has an achievement for Xbox Smart Glass, and Xbox Smart Glass is now discontinued. It's been replaced by the Xbox app. So if you want that achievement, well, too bad because you're never getting it. So this
Damn.
happens all the time. It feels like whenever there's like go to our website and sign up for the thing to unlock the thing to get the item that gets you an achievement or whatever it is, you like look at it like 5 years later and the website was just set up or the app was just set up as like a marketing thing and it's disabled and it's gone and they didn't bother to like re-up the domain or whatever, and then you're just screwed. So no one wants to, like, when they're playing a game, they want to play the game. They don't want to go to like a website or get their phone out and go on an app and like take a picture or what it like. People don't want to do that. They just want to play the game. Like, and it's not, if it's outside of the game, then it's like disconnected from the game. It's not even like when they update the game, it could break the app, or when they update the app, it could break the game. Like, it doesn't. Then they're not even in tandem with each other in a way that makes sense. So yeah, this is terrible. I don't know why games do it. It's very rare that games do it,
Also
thankfully.
immersion breaking, to be
Yep.
frank. Like you have to
Yeah.
come outside of the game to the real world to get something for the inside of the game. It's like, dude,
Yeah.
took
I've
me out
never
of it.
played I've never played Fable Anniversary, but like I always know that there's like one achievement that I'll never be able to get, and it's like, why? Like, at the very least they could have patched the game afterwards and fixed it, but they didn't, and they basically never do. So yeah, I mean, I guess it's a connected issue, but it's like we were saying about multiplayer. Once the servers go off, then that's just it.
Mirror's Edge too, by the way. Just wanted to mention that. Mention Mirror's Edge also has an achievement for connecting your companion app and then changing your logo. So when you go and you like spray paint it on the side of a building or whatever the hell.
Right, Child of Light has one as well, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks. It's awful. It's very few games that do it, but it's too many. Like, even one is too many. It's so stupid. And yeah, there's some games where it's like a similar thing almost with multiplayer, where it's like you have to do stuff in a game mode that no one cares about and no one plays, and it's like do 100 hours of this and then also use the app or something, and then it's just completely ridiculous. So that has to be the worst. There's like there's because there's just nothing you can do about it. There's no way around it. So I guess the only thing you could do is, I mean, and this is ridiculous for an achievement, is you'd have to get a community of people together who are also annoyed about this specific thing, and then you'd have to like write to the developers or the publisher or something and hope enough people care. That's like all you could do, which is so absurd that it's that broken. And developers choose to put it in their game on purpose as well. But yeah, that's the worst.
It is the worst. Absolutely. Man, you brought some really good things to the table that I didn't even think about. And I don't think I'm against the apps being made. I think I'm with you. I'm against there being trophies tied to that shit. Cause I think Rockstar made an app and like it was fun. I used to like pull the map up on my phone and use it as I play. On like I think they have one for GTA and like Red Dead 2. And I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm not opposed to
I mean,
that. It
those
works.
games. I will say what's annoying about those games though is they pester you about the Rockstar Social Club, don't
Oh,
they?
they
They're like
do,
they like
dude.
they like put pop-ups on. They're like, you're not logged in, log in now. Like, sign in. You need to sign in. You need to make an account. It's like Doom Eternal does it with Bethesda.net as well, where it's like, we won't let you into the game unless you sign up or log in to this thing that you're never going to use. Square Enix do it, Capcom do it, everyone does it, and it sucks. Activision do it now with an Activision ID. Some of them do it better than others, but yeah, that sucks as well.
Yeah, over the years, Ubisoft Club has done that, and it's gotten so much better, dude. It's actually something I look forward to in every Ubi game I go to, because you just
I
get.
liked, yeah, from Ubisoft. I'll say that I liked. They'd give you like achievements would give you Uplay points, right? And then you
Yeah.
could unlock stuff in the game from
Yes.
unlocking achievements, and you could choose what you wanted as well. Like, you could unlock an achievement, get some points, and then there's like there's like 5 things to choose from.
Oh,
I thought that was
more now.
pretty good.
Like most of their games carry way more
Nice.
options,
Yeah.
like up to like 12 or 18. Like they give you so many options, and if you don't spend those points from the game that you got the credits from, you could just use them on the next game you play from theirs. And I'm like,
Yeah, I remember.
it's fucking really well put together. It was really bad when it first came out and it started, but over years of development, they really have something special on their hands, and
Yeah, you could
it's cool.
you could like get a bunch of points from one game and then not spend them, and then as soon as you start like a new game, you could just unlock everything, which was cool.
Yeah, and I just want to point out that it's also evolved where you have, just like you're talking about, the trophies and achievements that are tied to getting the Uplay points, but then you also have time limited, which I think this is probably the smartest thing they've done, because we talk about how greedy they are, but like every week they have like community events. So if the community does 300,000 drinking games in Valhalla, everybody gets free shit in the game. Like they get additional experience, they get additional currency in game, and you can just redeem it and it's there. But then it's like, oh, go kill somebody with this weapon, and then you can get opals, which are a currency that can get you like really, really special items. Like I'm wearing these awesome gauntlets that just have like lightning all over them, and it glows and it looks sick. It looks like I'm wearing like armor of Eden or something. And I got it because Uplay just pretty much gave it to me for free. And I'm like, fuck yeah, dude. Like that's smart, Just every week they update it, and you don't have to play the game every week. This isn't Destiny. You can just go back in, and then whatever the community did, you redeem it. So every time I go back in the game, I get like 50 opals for free. It's amazing. I'm like, cheers to Ubisoft for making a nice little club. But you're right about all the other ones. They just feel dirty. They're just like, we need your information, and nothing else matters. They don't care about updating it. They don't care about that. They just matter that maybe it's for investors or something, but it just matters that you're signed in, and they will pester you until you're signed in.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, like, we've celebrated Ubisoft, but I will say, fuck Ubisoft, because they did it with Child of Light, where you can't. They did it with. They have a really annoying achievement in Rayman Legends as well, where you have to play like the multiplayer thing to get like an awesomeness rank to some stupid number that takes like way longer than beating every level in the game for some reason. So yeah, good job Ubisoft, but also like you've messed up sometimes as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I was literally complaining about all the games that they have multiplayer trophies in.
Yeah.
Like, it's only them. What the fuck? Just stop that. Just don't do it. Good job, and fuck you.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to Trophy and Achievement of the Week. My Trophy of the Week I chose from Ghost of Tsushima because it's coming up and I'm really excited to play it tonight. And it's called Blood on Your Hands, and it's purchase an item from the Crimson Dye merchant, and then it's for a specific armor. But the reason I chose this is because they kept doing this. We were talking about insignificant like trophy and updates and things, but they just kept updating the game after it came out, and they dropped the multiplayer stuff, and it was fun. I played it, and it did have multiplayer achievements and stuff. There's still one I don't have for raiding because I'm not a big raid fan. I don't like to play a game for 5 hours, and if you don't succeed, you don't win. Like you don't get anything out of it. I'm just like not into that. And they keep adding these new merchants into the game, and the merchants add different variations of colors to your armor and stuff. And so you can go in and you can get like, there's like a shadow merchant where you can change all of your armor to black, and it looks like ninja and shadow. And then there's like a light one, and now they're adding like a red dye merchant, which is going to be like probably looking really sick and like crimson and bloody looking. I have to imagine it's going to be pretty cool. That's why I chose this, because I'm like, ooh, I'm going to go right to that merchant right when I start and pop that trophy.
The way that game uses color and the visuals of it are so spectacular as well, that it uses like the full color spectrum. You see screenshots that people take, and it's just like luscious fields like reacting to the wind and yeah, cherry blossoms and all that stuff. It's great. So yeah, that type of customization is awesome. For me, my achievement of the week is from Hades. It's Bad Call, which is to use an Olympian's greater call against them in a trial. So, to explain this achievement, so when you're in a trial, you have to choose an item from one of two gods, and then the other god attacks you with a bunch of enemies. Basically, like it has like an effect and it attacks. And a call from a god is essentially like a super meter that you fill up, and then when you activate it, you can either like activate it partially full or activate it when it's completely full, and it will like summon a god's ability that helps you out, and it's usually extremely powerful. So, to get this achievement, you are essentially annoying a god by rejecting their item, and then afterwards being like, hey, I need your help in this fight where you're fighting me. So, I thought that was quite a cool, like, spin on it, and they have unique dialogue for when you do that as well. Like when they're attacking you, they're like, wait, you're asking for my help? Like, so that the fact that Supergiant thought about that and thought about that interaction in the game for such like a specific event, like these trials are pretty uncommon. Like you might get like one every run at max. So I just thought that was a really good achievement that is quite tough to get because you have to have a way to fill up that meter because you have to use their greater call. You can't just use the call when the bar is partially full. It has to be all the way full
Yes.
to get it. So you have to be quite skilled and have a way to fill up that bar quite well. And then also you have to have the right call for the right god. So that has some RNG, which is a little annoying. But I just mostly like the dynamic of it with the god be like trying to kill you but also helping you out. Like it doesn't make any sense at all. And so Supergiant being self-aware and just like, yeah, we'll give you some extra dialogue and an achievement if you do it is really good.
All right. Yeah, and I wanted to say earlier, like the writing in that game, dude, like that's something over and over as I played it the first time. I just kept going, wow, they wrote this. They wrote so much for this game. Like there is so much dialogue, and there are so many different interactions, and so many different, like you said, like scenarios, and there's writing there, and I'm like, holy fuck, I can't imagine like how much writing is in this game. It's
Yeah,
pretty
it's like they thought of
spectacular.
everything, and it's
Yeah.
such a small team as well.
It's really,
Crazy.
really spectacular. All right. Do you have any final thoughts? Anything left that
Yeah,
you want to say?
yeah, I feel like I was getting annoyed thinking about all those achievement pet peeves. It was good to vent out that anger. I
Absolutely.
think, yeah, I'm excited to check out 12 minutes. I've heard the reviews are sort of polarizing. Like some people are like, this is 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10. Others are like, this is like a 4 or a 5, or like I wouldn't recommend it. So I'm interested, and people seem to be divided from what I've seen over like the game in like a general sense, but also the story, which is always exciting because that happened with like The Last of Us 2 last year. So it was
Yeah.
like it's like I want to see what happens, and I want to play it for myself just so we can talk about it, and so
Oh
I can
yeah.
talk about it with a bunch of other people,
I look
and
forward to button heads with you because that's what we tend to do here.
yeah, yeah, it'll be good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. I'm gonna probably fire it up right after Assassin's Creed here, and then I'll play it until Ghost of Tsushima comes out, and then I'll play
Nice.
Ghost of Tsushima, and then
Yeah.
maybe switch back. I don't know. It's all up in the air, but I'm gonna play it this week, and that's gonna be it for the show. Thank you for listening. Happy hunting. Peace out.
See ya.